Gather round, one and all, and listen to tales of excitement and adventure. Tales of daring heroes, savage monsters, and bards who just couldn't keep it in their pants. Tales of friendship, nobility, drunken foolishness, and unforgettable fun. These are tales of role-playing games, fair listeners, and this is Rollin' Bones. My name is Ryan Howard, and I shall be your guide. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Danishes and Dragons. I am your host, Dungeon Master and King of the Boneheads, Ryan Howard, and joining me this morning, you've seen him on Rollin' Bones before, ladies and gentlemen, but we brought him back. He's a member of my OG gaming group, a guy I went to school with. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Kyle Smith. Absolutely. And of course, welcome to the new show, Danishes and Dragons, where we talk about all things RPGs and breakfast. Absolutely. So, I let Kyle pick the breakfast food for this morning, and this morning we are actually talking about cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon rolls are amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for a show called Danishes and Dragons, we've not actually talked a whole lot about pastries with regards to breakfast because I like to make a lot of the foods that I talk about on the morning that I talk about them. And so I went outside of my comfort zone and actually made some cinnamon rolls today. I like to call mine Ronin rolls because of the little jerk over there. We always call him a cinnamon roll because he's well tan and he'll roll up in a circle and just looks like a cinnamon roll. Hold on one second, Kyle. I am getting word from Tim that we cannot hear you. Let me verify here real quick. I am going to open up the stream and listen here. All right, can you say something real quick? All right, yes, we do not have audio on Kyle. Let me fix that. Thought it was weird that the let's see. And yes, Tim and Elfie, good morning. Seems like if it's not one thing, it's another around here. All right, say something again. Absolutely. All right, in chat, can we hear Kyle now? A little bit? And it would appear that his video is frozen. But it's not frozen like on Skype. It's frozen on OBS. Yeah. Let me do one thing real quick. I don't know. How long does silence last, Elfie? Alright, so you will notice that Kyle is now missing. I will be bringing him back in just a second. This is going to be weird for you, Kyle, because you can still hear me. And now we are talking about the silence spell in chat, which is great. This is fantastic morning viewing. I am so glad that I was able to bring you guys this amazing show with this high production value. Alright, so I'm going to have to do this one more time where I end the call and bring you back on. So we'll do that real quick. Make sure my video capture is good to go here. Capture. Well, this is absolutely riveting with 7 viewers. Let me go ahead and bring this back up again. I'm so glad that all of you guys decided to show up on the one day that I cannot make my video capture work here. But I am glad to have you guys nonetheless. We will have Kyle back on in just a second. Real quick in chat with the discussion of the silence spell. Let's see what other kind of discussion we can get going. What do you guys think of cinnamon rolls? What places have your favorite cinnamon rolls? Those of you who are watching along at home here. And for those of you who have never tried to set up any kind of stream before, you are getting to see how the sausage is made. So let me go ahead and drop this down here. Now let us bring Kyle back online. Alrighty. Yes, Cinnabon is overrated. That is absolutely true, Elfie. Alright, so Kyle is back. You guys can all see him. He is moving now. And let's see, Kyle, if you could let everyone in the world hear your golden pipes. Okay. And Elfie, if you can shoot me a text and let me know if you can hear him, that would be phenomenal. It seems like it should be working now. And apparently we can't hear you still. I have no idea what the hell is going on. Let's see if there's let's Skype properties. Let me consult the almighty Google. Oh, this is an OBS problem. Yep. Let's see. If we look over here in audio settings, is anyone out there an OBS expert? Let's see. It should be picking up your desktop audio. I don't know why. Let me... Maybe the problem is over here. Oh, no, I don't want you. Let's see. Settings. Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Hey, Elfie, can I get you to just stand right over here and tell me when you can hear Kyle? Because that will be very helpful. All right, Kyle, go ahead and say something. All right. Say what? My volume? His volume. Kyle, apparently you were very low, so if we can get you to turn your volume up. I don't know if it's a gain issue or if it's a Skype thing. It might be in your Skype settings. You might have your microphone very low. Hey, Elfie, how's that sound? And apparently Ronan has eaten my wife's cinnamon roll. No better? Any worse? Still quiet? Nothing? Huh. Did I do this wrong? Might be. Mixer. Let me see if our advanced audio settings here. Desktop audio. Okay, now say something. Better? Still quiet? Let me turn the volume up here real quick. Okay. All right. Okay. Now try again. I'm looking at my settings here, and we've got monitor off, monitor only, and monitor and output. And it was monitor off for both the microphone and the desktop audio, but people can hear me. And it's on window capture. Let's do Streamlabs. Window capture audio. Okay, let me see if my audio controls on here are causing problems. Realtek. Go ahead and end that. Okay, if you can go ahead and say something else, that would be great. I know we've done this a million times. I'm sorry.
Happen. And apparently...
Oh, you have audio now.
I have audio now. I have audio! I am alive.
You have audio. For some reason, it got set to capture the wrong thing.
I'm thinking I'm almost a curse. Since the last time I was on here, the audio just didn't record, period.
Mm-hmm.
And then now this. Well, I have volume now. Greetings.
Absolutely. Yes.
I am person.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with us through that weirdness.
What's really funny is I think that was about 10 minutes of silence.
Yep.
So the spell did end.
Yeah, that was definitely, the spell ended. Whoever cast that, you're on my list, mister. Or Mrs., yeah.
Oh, man.
But anyway, as I was saying at the top of the show, thank you, those of you who were sticking around. Thanks for sticking with us here. But as I was saying at the top of the show, we are talking about cinnamon rolls here today. And as Kyle mentioned, it's a dessert designed for breakfast. So Kyle, when it comes to cinnamon rolls, what makes a good cinnamon roll in your mind?
Ooh, yeah, no, I mean, there are really three elements to a cinnamon roll: the pastry, the cinnamon, and the icing. Mm-hmm. So, well, I guess the heat and what you put into it, I guess, when you're put it in the oven, is another element, I guess. That one I would consider very important. Because if the cinnamon roll itself is, because you know when you leave them out on like the counter cooling after they've come out of the oven, and usually you've made, like, I don't know about anybody else, but like big family gatherings for me, you make enough so that everyone can have like 7 cinnamon rolls.
Yep.
And they cool down to the point where they're like a hockey puck almost. Mm-hmm. So you need them like right out of the oven, like ooey gooey, able to like spread apart and get the, if you're a weirdo, to actually unwrap them. stuff like that. The icing is less important, I would say, actually.
Hmm. Yeah.
Simply because you don't have to use icing.
That's
Or
true.
at least the traditional vanilla icing. I know my favorite cinnamon rolls I always had were it was a big tradition thing for a while on Thanksgiving morning. My family, whether we were with our extended family or not, would make vanilla and orange cinnamon rolls. So like with orange icing on them. And I wouldn't even touch the vanilla unless the orange were all gone. It's just it was it's such like a vibrant flavor.
Hmm.
Whatever was in it, sugar and orange extract probably. It was really good. I miss those. Being on a diet sucks
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely
Um,
does.
but I've lost almost 100 pounds, so I'll take it.
Awesome. Yeah,
I'll take it.
that's definitely one thing I wanted to talk about is the weight loss that you've gone through, because you shared your progress with us in the group, and I gotta say, man, you look great. You
Thank you.
really have done a lot, and as someone who's lost almost 100 pounds himself, even though I'm headed back up right now and trying to come back down. Quarantine will do that, man.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you've done a great job, and so we'll get to that here in just a second. But you mentioned your family, and I know that
Yeah.
you come from a large Italian family, and so
Very large.
when it comes to breakfasts and family gatherings, what do those look like in your family?
Yeah, it greatly varies, which should come as no shocker. It depends on situations. So, like with my immediate family, there are typically 4 to 5 of us, depending on if my older sister is with us currently or not,
Hmm.
and or if I'm even home or not. I'm currently living back at home for a while because quarantine,
Yep.
and um, if we are all together and it's like a weekend and we're not really tired and actually want to make an effort, um, it's some sort of egg dish that all of us make. Typically, we on the diet we've been doing egg white omelets with goat cheese and chives, which are stinking good. They're
Hmm.
so delicious. Um, and of course, better for you. They're just the egg white omelets. They look more satisfying to me as well. Uh, Otherwise, we either just don't eat breakfast, which we're super good at. I've been getting better at it because there are some breakfast foods on my diet plan that they provide for us, and one of those things is pancakes. Uh, that they provide the powder and you just mix it with water and cook it.
Hmm.
It typically you can make one large pancake or 3 thin ones, and they come with in a chocolate or normal variety. Though we ran out of the chocolate ones, we got a lot of normal ones, and we just happen to have Ghirardelli like little Hershey Kiss things.
Hmm.
So I've been just chucking those into the plain pancakes as I've made those.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what I've been eating every morning at this point.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Uh, for special occasions, though, there are a few dishes and situations that we do. So, like the cinnamon rolls for Thanksgiving in particular.
Hmm.
Sometimes Christmas if we're all together in one house. Um, but there's the stuff like the sausage and egg bake, which is kind of like a quiche, kind of like an Italian quiche sort of situation. Italian sausage, egg, peppers, stuff like that. Basically, just a big hunk of egg and meat, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's got to be. um, Otherwise, yeah. I mean, it's we eat a lot of egg.
Hmm.
I'm realizing that now as I'm thinking about our breakfasts. We eat a lot of egg.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I eat a lot
Uh,
of eggs too, so.
yeah.
But yeah, between the orange icing and the egg white omelets that you described, I think you've become Elfie's favorite guest. She
Yeah.
she definitely wants a few recipes, so we can exchange those offline.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, we've already brought it up, so I guess we should go into that. What has your diet kind of looked like? That's kind of yielded these results for you. What's that been
Yeah.
for you?
So the rest of my immediate family went on it back in April of last year,
Hmm.
and I didn't join on until September, early September. So I had enough time to see their progress, and this is important to note, to see their progress and see that they were, keeping weight off,
Yeah.
because it's not just a normal diet, it's a dieting plan. So like
Hmm.
you send money and they send you the products and you eat the things. The dieting plans you hear for years, in which they always constantly say the thing of, hey, you can eat the same thing you're always eating. Just make sure you exercise and eat like slightly less of it. But you can keep eating the
Yeah.
shit you keep eating. It's like that, and the plan never works.
Hmm.
I'm shocked because this plan actually works, and it works for the big reason that all the like past diet plans just ignore, which is it needs to teach you how to eat better
Yep.
over time, so that while you're losing the weight, you're also, you're getting into a routine that'll maintain your weight when you get off the diet,
Hmm. Absolutely.
which is awesome and very handy. But the actual diet is called Optavia. Um, and basically, there are a few different plans you can go on. The main plan is 5-in-1, and that one helps you lose weight.
Hmm.
Booster, it helps your metabolism if you have issues with that, and helps you, lose weight at a pace that won't kill you.
Hmm.
Um, and it's very keto. It's
Gotcha.
it's it's a healthier keto is how I've been describing it
Hmm.
for months. Um, but basically, you have five fuelings, which can be anything from bars to mashed potatoes to the pancake I mentioned, soup, spinach mac and cheese, uh, cinnamon sticks, cereal. They have a lot of variety.
Hmm.
Shakes as well, and you eat five of those every day with sort of a 2 to 3 hour time period between eating each fueling,
Hmm.
and then you have one big meal today, so 5-in-1. That is a lean and green. So you have a it's like 75% green and like vegetable stuff, and then a 25% is your meat, your
Hmm.
lean,
Yep.
which could be, fish are leaner, so you can have, slightly less fish in order to make up for that, or you can have like a few things of chicken. Um, and you can make some really good meals
Hmm.
with the leniency they give you. Healthy eating is not bad. It's really delicious,
Yeah.
as I've discovered. Even just like a lot of places introduced over the past year or two a lot more of the like lettuce buns for burgers.
Hmm.
I greatly prefer them over the actual bread.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's satisfying to crunch into lettuce because it'll never get soggy really.
Hmm.
Um, and it's, I don't know, it's more satisfying and tastes better.
Hmm.
That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a ton of things that you can eat that are absolutely healthy, and so I lost 80 pounds on keto.
Yeah.
I went from just under. Actually, I think I lost right around 90 pounds. I went from like 5 pounds away from 300. I was 295 when I jumped on the scale and realized that I needed to make a change. I went from there all the way down to at my lowest, I think I hit 209 at my lowest. And then now I'm around 230ish
Mm.
just from different things that have happened, but I mean keto took me a long way. The problem with keto was I plateaued on it and
Oh yeah.
I didn't feel like I was able to sustain it for long periods. Basically, I would do cyclical keto, where I do 5 days a week of pretty strict keto, and then 2 days a week of eating more carbs, just so that there was more to burn, so you don't end up plateauing. The problem was those carb days ended up turning into binge days, and
Oh
then
yeah.
it just
No,
became an endless cycle.
those are dangerous. Yeah. I we had my family just they put me on the diet in September, and then it was also around that time they had told me that for Christmas we were going on a cruise and going to Disney World
Mm-hmm.
for Christmas. So they put me on a diet in September, and by Christmas I had plateaued already. And then we we went on a 2 week trip to Miami on a cruise to
Yeah.
Disney. It was like, you're torturing me.
Yep.
This is horrible. Thankfully, the day after we got back home, I went back on the diet and didn't have any trouble.
Good.
Thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I personally started at 300.7.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was. That was my highest. I never want to get there again.
Right.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
And I currently, as of this morning, am 204.
Sweet.
Yeah. I think I'm entering a new plateau phase that I'm trying to slowly get through. I'm going between 204, 206 during the days. But yeah, hopefully I can get that down below 200, because I have not been below 200 since I was a child. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my ideal state, I'd like to be somewhere between 185 and 190.
Yeah.
When I was when I was like 14, 15 years old, I was right there in between 185 and 190 pretty consistently. And I was working out a lot. I played football at the time. So I was in decent shape. I wasn't taking care of the nutrition side, so I didn't look as good as I could at that weight. And so now that I am focusing a little bit more on the nutrition, I feel like being at that weight, I'd actually look pretty good. And honestly, my Elfie's going to come on here and say that I already look good, but 1 second. He does this thing. Ronan does this thing where he scratches the dome that's over top of his litter box.
Oh, jeez.
Just because it makes a noise, and he likes attention. And he does it while I'm working. So.
Cats are great.
Yeah.
Cats
I love
great.
him. I love him. But he's a bastard.
Yep.
And Elfie, I know where the water bottle is, I just don't want to get up and get it. Because it's not in this room. But, she tells me that I already look good, but the problem is I don't see that. And if I don't see it, then it can't be, it's not going to click up here. If I can't see it myself, then it's not going to click up here. And I have no reason to weigh 230 pounds. I really don't.
Yeah. You always have those points. I mean, even though I've gotten down to 204, it's, body dysmorphia never stops. Doesn't matter what you weigh. Because there was a small period over the past couple months where I did my final push from like the 230s down to 204, where I would look in the mirror and be like, damn, look at me. But now I look back in the mirror again, and I'm like, ugh, I have so much just ugh that needs to get fixed. And it's like, if 300-pound me in September could see me currently, they would slap me in the face. Be like, the hell are you talking about? You look great. It's like, no, I don't. I don't feel like I do.
Yeah, and we both have what I've heard called FIH, which is fat in high school.
Yes.
The other way that I've heard it described is, once a fat kid, always a fat kid, and that's definitely in my mind all the time. Just
Yeah.
every time I see myself. Yeah.
It because the big thing for me is for a long time I touted that I was 285 and that was okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, 285 is what I got weighed before I entered freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to imagine what I got up to between entering freshman year of high school and when I did that like first weigh-in before doing my diet.
Mm-hmm.
Because I doubt 300.7 was my max. I highly doubt that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because before I went on the diet officially, I was already cutting out soda and eating a little bit healthier than I usually was. So I probably had lost a few pounds just doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I first started in college, and I did this in anticipation of eventually, adding alcohol into my diet. I went, if I'm going to be adding alcohol, then I need to drop something. And so I ended up dropping soda. And for a while, it felt good, but then I just replaced soda with other things.
Yeah. I thankfully I have managed to stick to good old water.
Mm-hmm.
I think what helped me was I knew immediately that if I didn't have a soda substitute when I was weaning off of it, there was no way I was going to be able to stop. So I made the sacrifice and said, I'm going to see how LaCroix tastes.
Oh,
Here's the
God.
thing, though. What I discovered is 85% of LaCroix flavors taste like hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And there are like two that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
And those are like the two that I drink. I haven't drank them in a while, just because I haven't gone to get any more of it.
Mm-hmm.
But just the plain normal one, and then I think it's the it's one of the I think it's the lemon
Mm-hmm.
lemon flavor. That one's really good to me. I enjoy that one.
Mm-hmm.
But they definitely helped me with their fizziness get off of the soda and onto actual normal water. Especially considering they're 0 calories and they are just water.
Yep.
So I got used to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I had to do the same thing. I mean, you probably remember how often Muhammad and I would be drinking sparkling ice, or I think it was Clear American was the Great Value one that we liked so much. But we'd be drinking those sparkling waters all the time at D&D. And then the other thing that I drank a lot of, or that I discovered, pretty much after I discovered alcohol, because I was looking for different things to mix drinks with.
Yeah.
There's a soda, and it's soda. It doesn't have any sugar or caffeine in it, though. It's called Zevia. It's got stevia in it.
Yes, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That stuff is pretty good. The only problem I have with it is all of it is clear. And so when you're drinking the cola flavor, it's like Crystal Pepsi.
Ooh. Oh no.
You're just like, this is clear. Cola's not this color. And you drink it and you're like, it tastes like cola, but there's this cognitive dissonance of cola's brown, that's clear. I can't do this.
I wonder if they could do something in the future where you make a cola flavored tea. That way you get the color without the unfortunate additives.
Yep. Yeah,
don't know how good that would work though.
Yeah, I have no idea what makes cola that color.
It is it's a variety of food coloring bullshit that turns it brown, and it's only I don't know. I forget their reasoning, I really do. I think it literally was just to distinguish it from water and make it distinct and different, or maybe to make it look like, a good like alcohol, a good like beer,
Mm-hmm.
and make people go like, I drink that. Or they were going for, hey, the color of this drink is letting you know there's cocaine in here, therefore
Yeah.
this is what your mouth's gonna look like.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why it's called Coca-Cola, people. It used to have coca leaves in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all of this stuff is stuff that I've become really passionate about recently.
Oh yeah, it is the caramel.
Yeah, Elfie is saying the caramel. Caramel will.
That's right.
Yeah, caramel will make it that color. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is stuff that I have recently, started caring about and thinking about a lot more. And, you can ask Elfie how annoying I get about it. But, it's a journey to not just look better, but feel better. Because honestly, and I'm sure you notice this as well, once you lose even like 10 pounds, your back starts to feel better.
Well, I would say that.
Did you hurt your back?
To be fair, there's a variety of factors that go into the reasons my back should be feeling better, but does not. I don't know. My family has a history of back issues, so I don't have that running good for me. Plus, the chair I'm currently sitting in, I've had for like 10 years, and it's been the same computer chair I've had for 10 years. I don't know, maybe less than 10 years. Regardless, anything over a couple years is too much with this kind of chair. It does not support my back whatsoever. Especially considering I sit in some weird ass positions when I'm just chilling. So, my back should feel good. Should being the key word.
Gotcha. Well, of course, we've had a good discussion about food and breakfast here. To kind of switch things over to the other topic that we love to discuss on here, that being D&D, you have actually recently started releasing content. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the actual play that you're doing right now?
Yes, indeed, or D indeed. So, yeah, about 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, because we started back in March of 2018, is when I started my very first campaign as a DM. How naive and stupid I was. And we went for a few months, kind of on and off, because we had issues with, I don't know if I ever mentioned it. I don't even know if I mentioned it back in October when I was on Rolling Bones. But that very first session that I ran for this campaign had 12 people. Something stupid like that, because we recruited from the production that we were putting on at the college, and so everyone wanted to get in, and then everyone showed up for one session. And so we had issues, and then finally we got a schedule going, and a more experienced individual joined our group, and we got the idea. Or I got the idea of, hey, all of our collective memories are really bad, and me as a DM is really bad at writing my notes down. Mm-hmm. It would be great if we could record our sessions so that we could have a backlog of information. So if I forget something, I can go back, look at it, and make sure my continuity is correct going forward. Mm-hmm. I never went back to listen to episodes until recently, so good on me for sticking to that idea. But we eventually started getting the idea as we were recording of, hey, these sessions are a lot of fun. We're like laughing our asses off doing this. We are all really invested in this story. We think it's really awesome. And we're recording them anyways. why don't we just share it with the world? Why don't we just put it out there? People will enjoy this too. And so, after 2 years of just sitting on recordings and constantly going, man, yeah, we should upload these. Yeah, it'd be really great if we uploaded these episodes. I should really, you know what? Hey, I have a channel name. Yeah, we should really upload these episodes. It'd be really great if we could upload these episodes. Anyone want to upload these episodes? Oh, yeah, I should edit this. I'll get to that later. After all that time, on the anniversary, on our 2-year anniversary, I officially released our very first episode of The 8. And currently now, later today, in about an hour actually, episode 5 is releasing. So, number one, I've hit a milestone, because I've never made it past uploading a singular episode, let alone 5, technically 6 episodes, of any online content that I've put online at any point in the past. So that's major. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, we're finally getting them edited and uploading them. I'm trying to do it every weekend, which could be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's seeming more like I'm uploading them on Saturdays and editing them on Fridays. So that seems to be a schedule that I will stick to in the foreseeable future. Yeah, as I go back and listen to the episodes, I truly love it. Like, I honestly feel I still laugh listening back to it, and not just because it's us saying things, it's because I legitimately find what's happening funny. And we don't shy away from like serious stuff as well, so it's not just fun all the time. It's it's that old adage of for D&D campaigns where it's like, if your campaign starts off silly, it turns serious. If it starts serious, it turns silly.
Yep.
And for this campaign, it started off as just a dumb, fun campaign idea. And my gods, even just like in these first 5 episodes, there's a lot of the silliness with hints of the seriousness, but following episode 5 is episode 7 will probably be after that, is when a lot more of the serious kicks in. And not to boast, I'm incredibly proud of the story that me and my group have put together, and that we're still telling. We're still recording episodes every Thursday, every second Thursday. So we have over 2 years worth of stuff to put out. So it's going to be a while until I have officially caught up to present day. Currently, we are on session. We're going to be next week. We're on session 70. Officially of the campaign. So, yeah. In episode 5, I think was session 13 or 14. So it's gonna be a minute, but I'm really excited.
Yeah,
really excited.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really cool, and now that you've mentioned that adage of any serious campaign will turn silly, and any campaign that starts off silly will get serious, now I know what I should have done to trick my Saturday players into my serious game.
Yeah, yes.
Because that's exactly what happened there. But, I've heard a little bit about this campaign, but for the people out there who, have not heard about this, what would be kind of the general premise or hook that you would use to get people to listen?
Let's see. Because there are a few different angles I can actually... I am also proud of this. I can approach describing this campaign from a few different angles because I don't know, it's complicated. So I'll go with this one. Imagine an alternate history Earth that has gone so far into the post-apocalyptic future that just anything goes. That's one of the ways I can describe it. It's set in the 25th era on a planet now called Naroon. And to put into perspective, each era, an era changes when a new event happens that like changes the course of history. Mm-hmm. The 5th era in particular is our current present time that we live in. This is 20 eras after us. Mm. So it's things from our present time are available to exist in this world, but I also have a lot of lineage in, okay, what came before our time and what came after our time, and how do they fit together and how have things changed to get to the point that the campaign starts at. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the campaign starts off at, 1,500 years after the banishment of Tiamat. The, 7th banishment of Tiamat. Because of course.
Yep.
And even before that, it was the end of a long-standing global pirate war, just because people decided, yeah, we don't like pirates so much right now. And so they decided to go at them, and then the god Odin gets involved and becomes king of the pirates and decides he wants to retire as king of the pirates and just escapes from his religious duties to go do that. and this following Ragnarok being a thing that happened already, and Odin still being alive and being like, yeah, I want to just retire as a pirate lord. Why not? That'll be fun. It's dumb shit like that that has a serious undertone once the story gets into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, things like that. It initially, it's one of those ideas where initially it's just something silly, a god's gonna retire here on Earth as basically king of the pirates. But then you start to think about the implications of what does that mean? What does it mean to have this all-powerful being suddenly decide, I'm going to live amongst the humans, and not just live amongst the humans, but essentially become a warlord?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And exist along, other just slightly ridiculous beings. Because the way I built the campaign was, number one, I chose, okay, who would I want to be, the ultimate B-bag in this campaign. And at the time of creating said campaign, we were doing She Kills Monsters at the college.
Yep.
Which is one of the few Dungeons and Dragons plays. Not a particularly good one, but it was enough to get the ball rolling on this. And the big bad in there was Tiamat. So I said, yeah, Tiamat's kind of a cool character. I love dragons. I would love to mess around with dragon lore. Tiamat will be my B-bag. And then from there, I just tried to work backwards and decided on, okay, there's these pirate lords, and okay, what pirate lords do we have? Okay, we have a god that retires on Earth. We have you got to have your Jack Sparrow in there. Let's have a guy that runs a communist pirate commune in the pirate city, because why not? That would be intriguing. How would that work? I want to explore this. And you got your golem infused by a human who's lived for thousands of years and is trying to bring like the world back to the fifth era of in terms of technology and advancement. But he just has the worst luck imaginable, and he just keeps getting shat upon every new era, and just can't get it right. And just a demoness called Castrata that turns men into ships for her fleet. Just, what dumb shit can I throw in here, and how can I make it serious? How can I put something behind this that will make the dumb bullshit? How can I justify it? How can I give them a reason for the stupidity? It's the as I've determined it now, it's the Austin approach.
Yes.
It's the doing something stupid but in a smart way.
Yes. Absolutely. That's a fantastic way to put it. Because for all the crap that we can give Austin about the weirdness that he brings to the table, it's always it's usually well thought out weirdness.
Yes.
And I learned over, just years of playing with Austin, don't underestimate the idea that he's bringing to you. He's given it some thought. And so, that really is I love that. I'm gonna keep using that moving forward. Just the Austin approach, the Austin principle.
Absolutely, it's a really good principle.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about it with him next week when he's on.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to going back and listening to these recordings, I know that you.
We have the Austin.
Yes, the Austin's here. Yes, Austin, report to the principal's office immediately. That's the principal we were talking about.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to going back and listening to these old recordings, especially with the idea, especially knowing that you maybe weren't necessarily planning on releasing these, how do they sound to you as far as releasing them as an entertainment product? Is there something, is there a lot of stuff that needs to be cut out because you weren't necessarily focused at that time on, people are going to be listening to this? Or is it a lot of, this is natural, this is organic, this should be in there?
It ends up, again, it always comes back to, it depends on the episode. It's a variety, because we didn't always go. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're recording or not. The way people are feeling before they show up to a D&D session impacts how that session is going to go. So even in the first 5 episodes, we have completely different energies going into each episode, just because we were feeling different or we had things going on, and so our heads were either more in it or less in it, and it would impact it in some way. For the most part, it's pretty much completely organic, what is in there. I was shocked at how little I did have to cut out. If I cut anything out, it's either because, like in the episode that's going up today, the Mary, one of our bards, for inspiration during the boss battle, sung like 40 seconds of copyrighted music. And it was like, I can't keep that in. I just can't. I just can't keep that in, and it's a shame. But otherwise, I mean, you cut out the long pauses that go on for a little bit too long, because when you're sitting there, it's not a constant talking and like going, things are happening. It can be like that. And I was lucky with episode 4, because that one just went, and I had to do very little editing for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were focused, we were honed in, we knew what we needed to get done, we knew what we wanted to do, and we got through it in a good timely manner. And a lot of really fun stuff happened because we were focused in.
Mm-hmm.
For combat situations, we do have moments where it drones on for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
just because a number of our members of our group, when we were starting off, were either brand new or had very little experience.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be moments where it would be like, okay, it's your turn, and they'd be like, okay, let me give me a minute to think what I need to do. And they would look around, and we have a lot of spellcasters in the group as well, so they're like trying to figure out what their spells do and
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff in the moment, because they, you know, they didn't get it at first. That isn't to say that they still get it completely, but we all struggle sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But no, those are things that need to be cut out as well. But for the most part, I'm thankful to go back and listen to them and realize that we were good enough at focusing in and getting things done and having a good time to where there isn't too much I need to actually cut out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and flash the Tim signal here in chat, because we are going to need him for this next section here. Because as you know, Tim is Tim Mathias, the guy behind Knights and Nerds,
Yeah.
and he has recently, they're coming up on the end of the first season of their campaign. And a lot of what you've described there is stuff that even he, who, produces a show that was always, from the beginning, intended for people to listen to, he still has moments. And I distinctly remember one where he had to comically speed up the audio to demonstrate just how long his players were... just how long his players were deliberating back and forth about what to do. And I believe that was Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that super long deliberation was around the initial, going back into Pharaoh's Point, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. But there's so much in this game that just involves discussion. Yes, Toity Dude, Austin, the 3-hour boat debate. There's so much in this game that involves discussion and back and forth, and even it's everyone from, groups of new people like you guys had at the beginning of that campaign to, my Wednesday group a couple sessions ago. And these are guys who've been playing, some of them have been playing Dungeons and Dragons since the early 90s. And even then, we had a session that was about 80% debate over what they were going to do next, because they'd finished this one objective, and I'd given them what in my mind was kind of a clear path forward of, this is, all roads are leading towards this, or most of the roads are leading towards this. But they still spent so long, so many hours just going back and forth about, okay, what do we do here? What are the moral implications of doing this? Do this. And that campaign is so driven by the individual morality of the people in the party that everything turns into a philosophical debate. And so if I were to stream that Dark Sun game, it would just be a lot of all right, let's pull out our pipes and put on our smoking jackets because it's philosophy time. Uh-oh. Kyle, you have gone quiet on me. Okay, yeah. Yeah, who cast silence? Because this time it's on me, too. Let's open this thing back up again. Okay, so Elfie can hear me. God, I have no idea. I think it might be on your end, Kyle, this time. I don't know if you're muted, if a cord came out. Well, this is just delightful. There we go. I hear sound.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, no, the thing does that sometimes. Well, not sometimes, on occasion. I have so many things plugged in to have my webcam and my fancy movable webcam.
Ooh.
And my microphone plugged in, so I have to have the USB side port thing. And on occasion, it just decides no.
Yeah, I've got one of those for work. Let me grab this here. It's one of these things, and basically the Ethernet port on it has decided nope. And there's no other Ethernet port, and I need wired internet for my job. So sometimes I'll just be sitting there, and the Wi-Fi or the internet connection will just crap out for like 5 seconds and then cut back on. But if I'm in the middle of a call, the customer will just go quiet on me, and then they'll cut back in and they'll be like, do you understand what I'm saying? And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I heard every word.
Yeah. Oh man. Where was the train of thought? Right.
Yeah, philosophical discussions.
There's a mini one of those that sometimes I find them really funny. Because in certain situations, you have those moments of the long debates, only to have them. They're like in a room. They have a doorway in front of them, open doorway. And they spend all this time discussing, okay, what should we do? Where should we go? I'll prepare this. I'll prepare that. Should we split up? Should we do this? That? And then they walk over the threshold of the door, and it's like, none of that mattered. Here's a fight. It's just none of it. But it's fun to let them talk for a while.
Yep.
And because sometimes they will come up with things that completely disregard what could happen on the other side of that door. And it's fun. Or you get moments like in the episode going up, in episode 5, where they're standing there for a little while and they literally discuss like, okay, where should we go next? Here, this and that. Maybe we should split up and you can stay here and we could do that. And eventually they just go, all right, cool. We exit out. And I go, cool, you see a flash of light, roll initiative. Just instantly. It's great. It's very it's a satisfying moment for a DM.
Yep, absolutely. It's something that I try not to listen to their plans, because if I listen to their plans, I'm immediately like, well, I can counter that with this and this and this, and it's like the GM side of meta knowledge, where your bad guys would not know this, so you can't suddenly break it out. Now, if you've got a player who's consistently using counterspell, Joe, then at that point you and in a counter later down the line, you've got someone who can counterspell back at them and stuff like that. But if you're in the middle of a dungeon and someone suddenly realizes that they've got counterspell in the next room that you've already got planned out, you can't suddenly just be like an anti-magic field.
Yeah, no. Now, on the other hand, I always listen to their ideas so I can get ideas for later down the line.
Yep.
Because, oh my goodness, the number of times it's become a thing. It's become a major thing where one of the members, whether we're in Discord chat or we're in a session, and we like maybe have a sidetrack where we're not completely focused for the moment, uh, and someone will say like, "Oh, like we could head down there, or we could like head over to that continent next, but." I don't know. I mean, like there could be like giant snakes there that like could constrict us, and that'd be a bad thing. And I just go, I didn't think about that. and it's
Ooh.
and it's just the constant struggle of them being like, I don't want to give you an idea, but I want to say what this idea is. And it's fun.
Yes, Austin has of course mentioned the divine intervention.
Yes.
I have still yet to encounter anyone who's had as good a luck with divine intervention as you've had, Austin. It truly was divine, or perhaps infernal, depending on how I was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
But it made for some hilarious and awesome moments. And of course, the campaign would not be the same if if you hadn't scored those divine interventions. And yes, it is hilarious seeing people talk about how horrible a feature it is.
That is okay. That is the one thing I am not as happy about going back and listening to the early recordings is since this was 2 years ago and I was not even remotely as good a DM as I am currently, and I'm not a good DM currently. My players will tell you otherwise. Hell, even the players in our group, since I started the space campaign with them, will tell you otherwise. I disagree, but I had really weird, and I don't even remotely know my motivations, really weird opinions on certain rules. For some reason, and I could never explain to you why, I considered having someone behind an enemy while you're standing in front of the enemy not flanking. I don't know why. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. It was the weirdest thing. And I had this whole situation as well where we were arguing for a while in Discord chats about like what were the rules of flanking and how do the rogue's abilities work with this, because Aaron's character Ashty is an assassin rogue. And it was like, how do we deal with this? And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna write out the rules. And I ended up just writing the raw rules. It was like my opinions were just, after I actually read the rules, was like, oh no, I like that. That's fine. That stays. I don't know. I was a naive DM. Very naive DM. And if I could go back in time, I would open up the PHB and the DMG and slap it against my face and be like, fucking read, Jesus.
Yep. And for Out of the Loop in chat here, I can't speak to other editions. I've only played 5th edition. We do have some people in chat who have played other editions, but I feel like clerics have always had some kind of divine intervention type ability, just kind of, by the nature of where they get their powers from. I don't know if the mechanic has always been what it is in 5e, which is a percentile dice, where I think you have to get like I think it's a 20 or under.
Yes.
But yeah, it's one of those things, Loopy. I will now call you Loopy, out of Deloop, unless you identify yourself as someone that I know. It's one of those things that's very difficult to hit. Like, it's pretty hard to get within that range. Yeah, equal to your current level or under. At level 20, it's 100% success. So at the level that Austin did it, the first time, I think you guys were like level 10 when he turned one of my mini bosses into a statue.
That was a good moment.
And then we were, maybe right around the same, like right around 10 to 15 in that range when you banished the vampire forever.
Something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where at early levels it's super difficult to nail, but when you nail it, you basically with whatever restrictions the DM can come up with, but you basically get to rewrite reality.
Oh yeah. The my group is not particularly fortunate in this regard. Because number one, we have 2 bards, a sorcerer, 2 rogues, and occasionally a paladin. So no clerics. Not a lot of healing. And most of them are glass cannons.
Yep. A lot of DPS.
The one thing I decided early on in the campaign that I'm glad I did and I'm perfectly fine with is that most of the party have a useful pet companion that is their own thinking, breathing NPC that they have control over. And in certain occasions I have control over for like plot reasons. That, can assist when it comes to extremely difficult situations.
Yep.
Because I've had to learn the really difficult task of balancing combat encounters. Because the second combat encounter I ever gave to my group, which was the second session in which that group of 12 went down to a group of 3. And I pitted them up against 2 bugbears at level 2. And they almost died.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good old balancing act.
Yeah, bugbears, they're good for, kind of that low to mid-level play. But that I think it's brute is the feature on their sheets that basically lets them do an extra die of damage when they hit with a melee weapon. Yeah.
It's brutal when you have basically no health.
And Austin has just pointed out that the Divine Intervention feature has been around since AD&D, but it was percentile plus a bunch of modifiers. And basically, every attempt prior was minus 5% for it to work.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like a lot of things in AD&D where everything just seemed a little bit more difficult. Just like you're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's almost designed to be it's like a Vorpal sword where a 20 cuts someone's head off. It's designed to be that thing where the one time you get to nail it, everyone's like, yeah! But every other time it's just, I'm gonna try this. You're gonna waste your action on that? Let's see where it goes. No.
Yeah, no. I liked how introducing that Vorpal sword ability as just a thing you can do, like we did for Joe's campaign for what is it called? Storm King's Thunder. And that I introduced into the space campaign of the, hey, if you roll a crit on somebody, roll again. If you get a crit again, they're dead. I'm fine with that because it's rare enough where again you get that really cool thing, but it doesn't waste anything to try it, which is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a super interesting mechanic. I think I might adopt that from my games. It's like the old school like Pathfinder or 4th edition confirm your crits.
Yeah.
But basically you don't have a penalty for not, getting not getting high enough. It's just another thing.
Yeah. And we had some really awesome moments. I think we did the goblin fight. For anyone that's played Storm King's Thunder, it's very early on in the thing. Go to, cave, fight a bunch of goblins or something like that. And I got a really badass moment of smashing in a chieftain's head in with a double crit. That just ended the fight. It was like, cool, awesome, that was fun.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about the space campaign. I almost joined this one.
Yeah.
Time didn't end up working out for me though. What with having 2 campaigns. But it sounded really interesting, and the rule set that you guys were using also sounded interesting. So hold forth on this the space campaign here.
Yes, the officially known as Unnamed Space Campaign, because most things were not named when we started the campaign, and therefore it was called the Unnamed Space Campaign. And now that things are named, I just decided, yeah, no, it's the Unnamed Space Campaign. That's the name of it. That's it. That's done. Because again, unlike the 8, this one started off with the question of, hey, do you want this to be serious or silly? And I said, mostly serious. That'd be nice. And Austin can confirm it went pretty silly pretty fast.
Yep.
What'd
you do, Austin?
We're only 3. It's going to be 4 sessions tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It went so silly so fast. Just you tried. Yeah. No, you didn't. Yeah. I had the idea of doing a space campaign with our group for a very long time, because a lot of us are interested in space and doing something different with D&D. And David is really resourceful when it comes to finding these systems to play. Mm-hmm. So he found and introduced me to the good old Spaceships and Star Worms system, which is fantastic, by the way. Please go support them on DriveThruRPG. This is such a good system. And it's pretty much just you could consider it an expansion to 5th edition. A space-flavored expansion that does a lot more than just add races and classes. A lot more. And add like space flavoring. No, it's 2 big books worth of information that you can add and make it space, including new races that all have very useful abilities. Like, how the basic normal human in 5th edition is like, you take it if you're going to be a fighter and nothing else.
Yeah. You take it for the extra feet.
Yeah, it's practically useless otherwise. The human in Spaceships and Star Worms has actual abilities specific to being human, and it's fantastic. It fleshed out a lot of things that, in terms of races, like, you have a choice between, for some of them. There's a standard in 5th edition where you do which is why nobody picked human, I know. The standard in 5th edition where it's like, oh, this gets +2 to an ability and this gets +1 flat, and that's the races. for all the races and spaceships and Star Worms, you get more of a choice. So for some of them, it's one of two things. You either get one stat that gets increased by 2, and then you get a choice of 2 stats that one of them increases by 1, so you can specialize depending on what class you're going to go with. Mm-hmm. Or you get 3 to choose from, and 1 goes up by 2 and 1 goes up by 1. So you have more freedom of choice and more ability to customize your character in terms of creating something that's like you're not gonna just take a half elf to be a bard sort of situation. You can take any of these races and feasibly be any of the classes, and it still be a good character, which is really awesome.
Yeah, and I read over the system when you were first talking about this game, and I really do want to play in this particular system. I still want to join the game that you guys are doing. We'll have to have an offline discussion about that at some point.
Absolutely, because we're hoping not to be on our current day forever. Circumstances and all that quarantine. Yeah, hopefully we can get you in there, because so far you'd like it.
Absolutely, and I would, a leopard cannot change his spots. Ryan is gonna Ryan. I would in fact bring in some kind of human character. I'd probably play the martial class.
Yeah.
Loopy wants to know if we could stream it.
Maybe.
I've never streamed a campaign before. I've never put out a recorded campaign before. I was that close to doing it. I recorded one for James Bond Radio, but none of them had played RPGs before, and none of them had dice. So I was rolling all the dice for them, and it basically turned into Ryan is telling you 3 British chaps a story and rolling dice, and you guys are kind of sort of ad-libbing and adding on to it a little bit, but it ended up being very boring, and it's not going to see air. I am going to go back on JBR and talk about the James Bond RPG with them. So
yeah.
Austin.
Jesus.
Cromwell. I'd have to try very hard not to make my character Space Cromwell. I really would. And that's honestly my weakness as a player. There's a certain type of character that I'm very attracted to, as far as, I always want my character to be somewhere on the Punisher, Cable, Wolverine spectrum. And every time I think about, what if I did a character who's not that? It inevitably just comes back around to Punisher, Cable, Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
Punisher, Cable, Wolverine, occasionally Batman.
Only occasionally. Only occasionally.
Which is odd, because Batman is, in fact, my favorite superhero.
Yeah. Oh, God. There was the thought on my brain, and then the thought left my brain. And maybe the thought will return to my brain. We'll see. Oh, gods. Oh, right. Speaking of Cromwell, I don't know if you had gotten this information during that period where you were trying to join and then things didn't work out. Mm-hmm. That I had confirmed to the group that in this galaxy, because I will say the system is designed more so for sticking within like a sector of solar systems.
Yep.
But I'm me, so it's an entire galaxy to explore. Where somewhere in the galaxy, my planet and the planet of no consequence.
Oh, yes.
Exist.
Or Punk.
Yep. So I have confirmed that Braun Bronzebeard can be in this campaign, and Cromwell can be in this campaign.
Confirmed. The law of infinite Cromwells is confirmed.
Yep.
I've made it a point to have Cromwell be an NPC in every single one of my games.
Yes.
And currently, in both games that I'm running, there's not just one version of Cromwell, there's two.
Oh my god.
There's the in-universe version of Cromwell, who's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and then there's Cromwell that I played, 20th level Cromwell, just aged up a little bit, who just ended up, through misadventures, hopping into different universes. So there's Old Man Cromwell, and then there's less Old Man Cromwell.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Jesus.
I just can't let him retire. I don't know what it is.
I mean, hey, we get attached to characters, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to get attached to characters.
And I never let, like, he did combat with one of my parties once. But for the most part, I keep him out of combat. I don't let him become a DMPC. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
And he's there largely to make sure that things that the party have taken care of, like objectives that they've accomplished, don't end up, like, unraveling.
Mm.
Like in my Dark Sun game, Old Man Cromwell, the Traveler Cromwell, he showed up. They found him imprisoned in this lich's laboratory with a whole bunch of other creatures from other planes, which in Dark Sun, the planes are cut off. So the fact that there were creatures from other planes of existence was something that those players would have never encountered before this. But they also liberated an argosy, which is a giant land ship, like pulled by lizards.
Ooh.
It's basically what if an aircraft carrier was a desert vehicle. That's what an argosy is. So they took one over, and Cromwell is now basically commanding that argosy and training this young, very powerful magic user how to control himself, because obviously Cromwell does not have access to magic anymore due to circumstances.
That's one situation I've put myself in with the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Is it very much, I think every single one of them was unintentional, pretty much every single one of them was unintentional, but my group has a habit of befriending and taking upon NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a boat that can sustain a great number of people. Because again, I am the type of individual who's like, why restrict you to one continent when you can sail across the entire planet? That's a hell of a lot more interesting and gives more opportunity for more stories to be told. Mm-hmm. So they have like this whole neighborhood of NPCs living on their boat that are all have their own side stories and interconnected personalities with each member of the party, and pretty much every single one of them was unintentionally created as a thing. One of them, Valerie, started off as a random NPC that I thought of in my head because Cam's character Melio, who is our other bard, mm-hmm. She entered into a bard competition with a stuck-up gnome bard called Krillik the Entertainer, and in order to push him out of the tavern, because he was being, stuck up and snotty and rude and stuff like that. In order to get him kicked out of the tavern, they had a bard competition, and the final thing in that competition was go into the crowd outside the tavern, and whoever can woo somebody the fastest wins that round. Emilio ran up to a female elf, female wood elf, and like wooed her completely won her over. And later on, that same wood elf showed up to help them in battle, and then just joined their ship, and now currently has become the only person in Emilio's life who has broken down her barriers and actually formed a love connection with her. Random NPC.
Mm-hmm.
Now the main love interest of Emilio.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I now have an entire boat full of characters that I'm like, I really want to play this character one day.
Mm-hmm.
I've created entire backstories for these people. I have them ready to go for a campaign. It's a struggle.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And just to address what Chad is saying, Tim, Cromwellian would be an adjective to describe someone who is grumpy on the exterior, but has a good heart and is willing to help on the inside. And as far as running a cleric of the entity of no consequence, Austin, talk to Joe about the time when Balasar almost became a cleric of Ryan.
Oh my god, yeah. I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that.
And I would totally live in a Cromwellian society, Austin. Society where everyone's just kind of grouchy and stuff, but you know, at the end of the day, they're willing to help each other out. You know, it's fine.
That's just the planet of no consequence.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't Cromwell's story at Planet of No Consequences that he literally got to the planet, was like, I'm retiring now, and then became a secret vigilante?
Yes.
Yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And how he ended up going from secret vigilante to planeshopper. Basically, he found himself kind of at odds with a wizard who had gotten control of a spelljammer. Who showed up on the Planet of No Consequence, and they've basically just been fighting each other through time and space. It's one of those situations where the spelljammer will crash somewhere, and basically they'll have it out and end up like separated and fight and end up back on the spelljammer and accidentally fly somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I've come up with an alternate definition of Cromwellian, which might end up being a little bit better. Cromwellian is thinking you're insignificant when actually everything ends up revolving around what you do.
Yes. 100%.
Mm-hmm. And I love that. Austin. Braun is tracking Cromwell. Oh goodness. Should I do that to my Dark Sun players? Just have Bronzebeard show up and Athos.
We've determined Bronzebeard has to, whether on purpose or not, and for some reason it's mostly been not on purpose, he has to show up in every single campaign from now on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's just a rule.
Absolutely. Well, Kyle, this has been absolutely a blast, even despite the technical issues that we've had.
Yeah.
You know, I love catching up on stuff like this. It sounds like your campaigns are both really fun. Hopefully we can work out some way where I can jump in on that space campaign.
Yes.
Because now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I really want to do it.
Give in to your... fuck.
Do it.
Star Wars, where are you? Bring the quotes into my brain. Look inside. You know it to be true.
Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Ryan, the
It's
DM?
not a tale the Jedi would tell you.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It's no tale of consequence.
There we go.
It's a Cromwellian tale.
Yep.
Make a character that's built around the Space Corps in Portal. Loopy, it's funny that you mention that because I believe the name of the group chat that we all have on Telegram is Space. Space. I'm in space.
It is. I had to. We can't be this group and not have the Space Campaigns group chat not be a Portal reference.
Right. Mm-hmm. And Austin, you do have an eclectic ragtag group for me to join. And so, as always, I will join as a character designed to basically hold everyone together.
Good luck. Good luck.
I will resume my old role of voice of reason and see if it still works.
See, here's the funny thing is that when you had left the group, it's not that a voice of reason left, it's that a good voice of reason left. Because for some reason, I took over making plans. That doesn't mean my plans were good. And it doesn't mean they listened to my plans. Mm-hmm. Also, all of my characters have true chaotic natures, so that turns out fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Lawful chaotic.
Absolutely.
I feel like that does describe a lot of your characters because they are honor and duty bound to be chaotic.
Pretty much.
So you are lawful chaotic.
It probably better describes because I'm currently in I'm playing in Curse of Strahd that one of my players is running for us. And I'm playing a lawful evil changeling whose whole ordeal is like, he's a little shit, but he tries to do good by being a little shit.
I love
it. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, while we're wrapping up here, as always, I'm just going to turn this over to you to discuss, anything you have to promote. Obviously, we've got our table. I'll drop another link in the description. So go ahead. The floor is yours. Anything you want to shout out, go for it.
Yeah. There's our table, which is the YouTube channel and the overall group. Right now we're uploading, each session of the 8 every weekend, or I'm trying my best to do every weekend. I've been pretty consistent so far. Check those out for sure. Give them a like, share them around. That'd be awesome. It would help us out a lot. I think people would really enjoy them. There is an episode 0 to check out. It gives you a lot of context as to who the characters are and what happened leading up to the first episode. So you have, you have context for what's going on. I think it's really handy to have. Besides that, I am actually going to try start streaming as well, personally.
Nice.
So possibly tonight, maybe around 8, I'm going to be streaming. And it's sort of what I'm going for is that on occasion I would like to video game stream because it's me.
Yep.
But tonight, because I need to get work done for the space campaign, and I like the idea of doing it, is I'm going to be designing and plotting out the combat maps and stuff like that I'll be using for the space campaign. So just creative, fun art times for D&D, if you're interested in that. And that'll be at twitch.tv/Pomonix, which is POM. Oh dear God, brain. POMONIX.
Hang
on, it'll show up on the screen in a second. Yeah, POMONIX. P-O-M-O-N-I-X. Twitch.tv/Pomonix.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll probably do it tonight around 8.
Cool. All right, well, guys, that is going to do it for this morning's edition of Danishes and Dragons. I'm so glad that you guys stopped by. This is a ton of fun, even in spite of the... Yes, Austin, you can see the future. Even in spite of all the technical issues, this was still a lot of fun. Next week, the schedule is so far on Monday. We're back to Mondays where, we're always going to do Rollin' Bones unless circumstances dictate otherwise. Monday at 8 p.m. Central, the Rocky Mountain Savages will be joining us to discuss a lot of their upcoming events. I'm hoping that by September, they'll be able to do the Savage Adventures Deadwood convention, because I want to go to Deadwood, South Dakota and play a bunch of Deadlands while in an Old West town. That sounds like a ton of fun. And so we'll be talking about that, talking about the Savage Cruise that they did and all the events that they put on. More Savage Worlds, I know. It's kind of one of my favorite systems. You're going to have to deal with that. And then next Saturday for Danishes and Dragons, same time, same place. And this time, I hope you liked him in chat, because Austin will be my co-host next week on Danishes and Dragons. Again, it's going to be a ton of fun. We'll talk about the train campaign that he just did.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounded super interesting. And, we'll be talking about all the crazy stuff that's been going on since our last conversation. But until then, whether you rolled a 1 or a 20, I'm so glad that you rolled your bones with me, Ryan Howard, and I'll see you next time. Everyone have a good day.